All right, everybody, welcome in. Appreciate you all adjusting to the clearly mistake that I made. We're going to go ahead and have Coach Pearl start with an opening statement. Just as a reminder, if you're not asking a question, please mute your phones. And with that, we'll kick it over to Coach.
Well, thanks, Cody. We're getting together today to talk a little bit about Auburn basketball, but we're also really mindful of these uncharted waters that we're all going through. Specifically, as far as men's basketball, I want to thank Dr. Gouge, General Burgess, our athletic director Alan Green, just for their constant communication. Commissioner Greg Sankey with the SEC, keeping our coaches, student athletes informed about the latest information they have, not only to the coronavirus, but also how it impacts our university, how it's impacting the SEC, how it's impacting intercollegiate athletics. So the last week, we've seen things. We've seen dramatic changes, and how something like a pandemic can affect the entire world. Trying to be safe, trying to be healthy, trying to do the right things, so we can get through this, and then come out on the other side somehow better off, wiser, and having us all return to some form of our normal lives. I think it gives you great appreciation for the moment, in the sense that you never know when that moment's not going to be available to you, and makes you appreciate when you do have your health. And so with that said, I would be happy to answer questions and give you any updates at all that I can about the state of Auburn basketball.
Bruce, Brandon Marcello here. I know with so much uncertainty about even the NBA draft, and obviously you have to guide someone who has to make a decision about their future, and Isaac Okoro. Have you been able to talk to him at all, and what's your feeling with Isaac and how he has to approach these next few months?
Well, yeah, we've been in daily contact with our players, either by phone call or text, and I certainly have talked to Isaac as well as each player about what their plans are, both short term and long term. In other words, specifically, where are you going to be? For now, how we're going to continue to move forward to try to be online with our classes, and our guys have done we've had 4 straight years of perfect academic performance rating. As you guys know, about 10% of all the Power 5 college basketball programs have a perfect rating. 90% don't. We've had a perfect rating, 1,000, 4 years in a row. Courtney Gage, my academic counselor, she's done and continues to do a phenomenal job. So we're in dialogue about that. Regarding the NBA draft, I'm certain that deadlines are going to get pushed back. They've already canceled Portsmouth. I don't know what the status of Chicago is in May. I don't have something came out today. I haven't gotten through it all, but there are some updates that came up from the conference office. I apologize. I didn't quite get to that email yet, about some dates. I think that for specific to Isaac Okoro, one of the great joys of coaching him this year and recruiting him was he just wanted to go to a place where he could get better and have an opportunity to be put in position to be successful, try to compete for championships. He's lost 6 basketball games in 2 years because he didn't lose at all in high school, and he was 25-6 in his first year at Auburn. So we talked about the NBA during the recruiting process, I think most people, most experts, would have probably thought that it was going to take him a couple of years before he would be in a position where he'd be ready or in a position to be drafted. But we didn't spend a lot of time talking about it because it's just not who he is. As a result, he played the game for joy. He played it to win championships. He played to get better. I'm sure there's a part of Isaac that really Isaac enjoyed Auburn. Isaac, when it was time to go home, he went home to see his family, but he came right back. He enjoyed being here. He enjoyed school. He enjoyed his teammates, his coaches. He enjoyed the training. But the circumstances are, as they present themselves now, whereas if Isaac has an opportunity to be a first-round pick, to certainly have an opportunity to be in the lottery, with this draft not being as deep as next year's draft is going to be, I think it makes sense for him to absolutely become draft eligible, which he is going to, and then go through the process. And then if the information comes back and it confirms the information that we have right now, that he is going to be indeed a lottery pick, then he needs to stay in the draft. But right now, I do know he's going to make himself eligible, but the decisions about the future are all still pending.
Bruce, this is Jason Caldwell. When you look at kind of recruiting, what are the difficulties with that now with the no signing part of it? I know you're still recruiting guys, but is it made it a more difficult challenge right now just because of the logistics of things?
Well, Jason, everybody's in the same boat, and so I don't think anybody's is at all concerned about gaining any kind of a competitive advantage or disadvantage in recruiting. We're limited to simply the ability we have to make contact. But there is nothing on campus, nothing in person, nothing off campus. So it changes the way we try to finish up this year's class. And I think so much is going to get pushed back into the spring and even early summer as we remake our roster. I mean, specifically for Auburn, I think you can make a case that no team in the country has probably lost more than Auburn the last 2 years. We had 5 seniors last year. We had 5 seniors this year. And then Isaac Okoro, if he does stay in the draft, I don't know that anybody probably in college basketball would be in a position to have lost more. That said, we're coming off of a 2019 Final Four appearance and an SEC tournament championship, and one of the, 7th or 8th best records in college basketball this year. I'm not sure exactly what 25-6 is, but it's in the top 10. And we have a tremendous opportunity for some impact players. We're recruiting some impact players, and but we just got to do it over the phone, and text, and we feel like we're in a great position. We just got to see how they've obviously got to play it out. As far as next year's recruiting, again, everybody's in the same boat, but it's going to change the recruiting calendar. They're going to have to make some adjustments as far as how much we can be out. I think as it relates to providing access, giving these kids in this class the same opportunities to get exposure and be seen. I'm certain the NCAA, or I would anticipate that the NCAA will be very flexible, thinking about the student athletes first and foremost, and letting our coaches have some sort of an expanded recruiting window this later on in the spring or summer.
Thanks, Bruce.
Bruce, this is Mark Murphy. Right now, do you anticipate all your players with eligibility returning for next season? And also, what are you doing and the assistant coach is doing when you're not doing recruiting right now?
Well, I think that it would be our anticipation that everybody with eligibility will return. Isaac certainly is in a position where he is going to be eligible for the draft and evaluate, go through that evaluation process this spring or early summer. We are in, we're in contact, with our guys every day. We are, they've got online classes. As we've talked about, we take great pride in the fact that our guys have done really well competing in the classroom, as well as the court. It has a lot to do with our culture, the discipline. It's going to be more challenging because we can't put our hands on them. We're not able to assist them quite like we did before. And some people react better to online versus in classroom. Some really need just a teacher or a tutor sitting right in front of them. So these are, again, uncharted waters. From a standpoint of what we're doing, when you go from 100 miles an hour or working, pretty much every day with the exception of maybe Christmas or a couple of days around Christmas, and then probably we worked every day from October, almost every day. When you do lose your last game in sometime in March, you're tired, and so I've encouraged my coaches. First of all, we're not in the office. We're practicing our social distancing. We've been involved in some community service work, jumping in with the Jason Duffner Foundation, Tim Hudson Foundation, Bruce Pearl Family Foundation, the Auburn City Schools, Church of the Highlands, the Dream Center, to provide some food to families that are involved in the school programs. Jason Duffner has been carrying the ball with this for many, many years. I don't know that people in his community realize just how many. His target age group was, I think, 2nd through 5th graders in Lee County. But at the arena, we would be packing about between 1,500, 2,400 bags of food that went home every weekend with students, because oftentimes our students in the elementary, middle school, high school.
This meeting is being recorded.
The best meals they get are the meals that they're having at school. And so we've expanded that effort through some additional resources provided by the Hudson family, Bruce Pearl Family Foundation, as well as Jason Duffner and his foundation, with support from the Church of the Highlands and the Dream Center. I think that today and tomorrow, we're probably going to be giving out about 2,000 of those boxes of food. And several of my student athletes that are in town have also, jumped in to help. So there's a little bit of community service that's going on with some of the idle time.
Bruce, this is Brandon again. I know this is all fresh, and you're still dealing with conversing with your players, and obviously the disappointment they feel. But with the way you guys ended the season, playing so well at Tennessee, and then to have the season ripped away from you, and of obviously everybody else, what do you think your team was capable of doing in the SEC tournament and the NCAA tournament?
Brandon, that is such speculation, and I've seen some coaches commenting on what they thought their team was capable of doing. I like, I like the way our team played at Tennessee. I said after the game, I thought it was, one of our best efforts. Tennessee had just come off beating Florida and Kentucky, two teams that were at that time in first and second in our league. And then we go down to Knoxville and play really well. That certainly would have given us momentum. We were only 3 wins away from being SEC champions again. Obviously the kids felt like 3 wins in Nashville being a 2 seed were something that they were capable of doing. But I wouldn't begin to even predict, what that would look like, because I think in doing so, I had said all year long that it was the most competitive league we had been in. The teams with the best records could beat the teams with the worst record. LSU and Vanderbilt was a case in point. I am extremely proud of this group for finishing in second place because the league was so good. I felt like this was a team that could finish in the top 5. Several of you that have interviewed me, I may have talked about 4th or 5th, which is about where we were picked. I felt that was accurate. And so to finish higher than we were picked, and with range of the champion, I was very pleased with these kids. Really cared. They grinded. They won 4 overtime games or 4 or 5 overtime games, and I'm proud of them for the way they competed and the way they grinded, and especially with a roster that was really a lot of seniors that had played supporting cast roles the year before and played dominant roles. I mean, Javon McCormick taking over for one of the greatest point guards to play in the SEC. Samir Dowdy taking over Jared Harper. Samir Dowdy taking over Bryce Brown. The second, maybe one of the top 2 or 3 shooters ever to play in the SEC. Those 2 kids are both Jared and Bryce were second-team all-conference players. D'Angelo Purifoy and Anthony McLemore, sort of taking over for, Chuma, who was the 16th player in the draft. Just go up and down the roster. So we certainly were in position to be competitive in postseason play again. And I can tell you that our seniors are extremely disappointed. But they've got it in perspective because as you look around, and you see people that are out of work, businesses that are failing, real serious health issues, particularly in our urban areas. It's going to get worse before it gets better. None of our guys are complaining. And where I'm at is, trying to have a balance between, okay, we're talking basketball, but I think people want to hear about how we feel. But I'm not interested in being in the news right now, from a standpoint of, unless it would do just to love on my players and love on our fan base and try to where and when it's appropriate, to rebuild our roster in such a way where we can continue to be a top 20, men's college basketball program.
Hi, Bruce. This is Gianna. I was wondering if you guys have gotten around to sending your players workouts or ways to stay in shape while they're at home and don't really have access to gyms.
Well, I appreciate that. No, we've not specifically sent the workouts, and I think that's done in a conscious way. Some of the guys don't have access to a gym. If you sent them the workout, that would add stress, anxiety, because they're not in a place where they can work out. It could encourage them to do something that they, that puts themselves at risk from a standpoint of health. When the time is right, we'll catch up. What I've asked them to do is take care of their business. What I've asked them to do is be mindful of continue to do what God would have them do, as we've said here all along. And with the extra time they have, what can they do for somebody else, where it doesn't put them in a health risk. So, no, we have not sent out workouts because I don't think workouts should be the focus. However, we do need to start coming up with some plans when the time is right to get these guys back in, to shape. And it's just about a healthy body helps a healthy mind. And I absolutely do worry about the time that our young people have and that they make good, healthy choices with the fact that they've got more free time.
Bruce, this is Brandon again. As everything seems to change minute by minute, and for you personally and your family, when you look at the coronavirus and how, they say younger people aren't really affected, but that's still out there. But the one thing they know is that folks in their 60s and above and underlying conditions are more susceptible to complications and potentially death. Just how are you handling the situation? Are you, as a human, just speaking heart to heart, are you afraid yourself for your family? And I want to hear your thoughts.
Sure. Well, Brandon, God's got a plan for all of us, and I know that we are all in His heart, and when that time comes, that'll be His plan. But we're also should absolutely take advantage of the gifts and be smart about things, about where the position you put yourself in, or taking care of yourself, and whether it be eating right or taking vitamins or staying away from things, washing hands, keeping the social distancing thing a factor. Do everything you possibly can to not be exposed to it, and then if you are exposed to it, being able to be as healthy and strong as you can to survive it. And so fortunately, nobody in my family, nobody on our team that we know of at this point is feeling ill. And I think one of the things that would be different is when my season would be over, I would probably, Brandy and I would be heading down to Florida, and we'd be visiting my mother and father, who are both in their mid 80s. But we're not going to take that trip right now because we just don't want to travel, and we don't want to put them in a position where they're exposed to something different in the unlikely event that we could be carriers. So yeah, and the fact that I'm 60 now puts me at risk. What the thing about me being 60 that really is the only thing that's a little mind-boggling is when I look at my beautiful wife, I simply cannot fathom her being married to a 16-year-old guy. That's just hard for me to comprehend. I can handle being 60, but my wife is too young and too beautiful to be married to a 60-year-old man. Maybe
you ought to bust out that hair dye again.
One time was enough. And thank you for blowing that up for me.
No problem. What are you doing for fun in the house? Are you guys playing any games? You doing anything like that?
Well, you know what? First of all, trying to do a little bit of reading, and no, I'm not going to tell you what I'm reading. And then, our friends are saying, "Hey, are you watching this series? Or are you watching that HBO special? Or I don't even know what they're talking about. I didn't even know those things. Like, I thought you put the TV on. It was sports, news, maybe a movie. I guess they've had these series, right? Like 20 episodes of things, and they've been going on for a few years. I don't know if you were aware of that, Brandon, but I just sort of became aware of that. My head's sort of been I've been working for a few years now, so I'm just getting caught up to speed. What I'd like to do? I'd like to take a class on how to really do a great job on a green egg, and be phenomenal with that, because I love to eat. I'm a pretty good cook, so we're cooking more. We're eating at home, and trying to get some exercise outside. Upgraded my bike, walking, spending some time with my wife, my son, my sons, and that's kind of what we've been doing. And I am spending a lot of time consciously calling and texting people that I know, and just staying in touch that way. I think some people, they appreciate hearing from a friend.
You won't believe how the series Cheers ends. It's incredible.
Bruce, this is Mark Murphy again. One of your signings, Chris Moore, had a heck of a senior season. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I think Chris was, man. He's like, Chris Moore is one of those guys that if you opened up some dictionary and you looked underneath Auburn basketball, and there was a definition there, and it was a picture. Chris, it'd be okay if Chris Moore would be in that picture. Now, he's not the only one. I wouldn't mind you open up and seeing Isaac Okoro's picture in there too, but or several others. But I mean, Chris is a hard playing, physical, hardworking, great teammate, player. He's not a top, and he's not a top 100 guy, just like our guys. Most of our guys aren't, or they're not top 50s. Whatever it is. He's got a chip on his shoulder. Fell in love with the Auburn family. Loves Arkansas because he's from the state of Arkansas. Loves Memphis because he's from West Memphis, Arkansas, which is practically Memphis, just on the other side of the river. Loyal kid. Could have gone to any of the big-time prep schools, but stayed home to win a state championship and got one game away. He was supposed to play the Saturday after everything shut down for the state championship against Jacksonville. And so that'll be one of those things I think will really bother him that he didn't quite get to finish the job. But he's a productive player and a great kid, and is going to be a real fit for us someplace. He's positionless. He can move around quite a bit.
Thanks.
Any more questions for Coach? All right. Appreciate it, Coach.
Okay, guys. Thank you.
Thanks.
Y'all be safe. Y'all stay healthy.